guitarists define entire generations. Their riffs become the soundtrack of our lives, their talent seemingly untouchable. But talent does not last forever, and the stage can be a cruel mirror. These are 10 fading guitarists who should seriously consider putting the guitar down for good. Number 10. Keith Richards. Rolling Stone magazine once called him the creator of rock's greatest single body of riffs, and for 6 decades that reputation held firm. Richards was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989, and the Rolling Stones built one of the most successful touring businesses in history. Their 2024 Hackney Diamonds tour grossed $235 million, proving the brand still carried enormous commercial weight. But even legends eventually face the limits of time.
The slap on the wrist, oh yeah.
Richards has admitted that his arthritis has changed the way he plays guitar, saying in a BBC interview, "Funnily enough, I've no doubt it has, but I don't have any pain. It's a sort of benign version." He also noted, "I think if I've slowed down a little bit, it's probably due more to age." During the Hackney Diamonds tour, one reviewer observed that Wood assumed the bulk of the lead guitar duties while Richards lent burnished rhythmic touches, a telling shift for the man who once defined rock and roll cool. Number 9. Eric Clapton.
Please don't say we'll never find a way.
He is the only artist to have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 times, enshrined with the Yardbirds, with Cream, and then as a solo performer. To date, Clapton has sold over 100 million records worldwide as a solo artist, making him one of the best-selling musicians in history. His double album Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, recorded with guitarist Duane Allman, is regarded as Clapton's masterpiece and a landmark among rock recordings. The world once spray-painted the word God on London walls to describe him.
And I'll say yes, I feel wonderful.
The fall from that height has been long and visible. Some longtime listeners argued that portions of his later catalog leaned too heavily into softer pop and adult contemporary styles, with albums throughout the late 1980s and 1990s feeling like they lacked the raw blues energy that once defined his sound. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Clapton became known for his criticism of safety regulations and refused to play any venue that required vaccinations, a stance that proved deeply controversial and prompted renewed scrutiny of his public conduct. His recent albums sell less and less, and the fire that once made him a god has long since faded to embers.
All right, on the run. How did I get here?
Number 8. Neil Young.
Oh man, take a look at my life, I'm alive.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has inducted him twice, in 1995 as a solo artist and in 1997 as a member of Buffalo Springfield, a voice that shaped a generation. From his haunting work on After the Gold Rush in 1970 to the raw fury of Rust Never Sleeps in 1979, Neil Young gave rock music some of its most indelible moments. His live work with Crazy Horse showed he could play as furiously as punk acts, and fans loved him for it.
But there's a full moon rising, let's go dance.
But in recent decades, the balance between artist and agitator has tipped hard in one direction. Young pulled his entire catalog from Spotify in January 2022, objecting to content on the platform, a move that cost him enormous audience reach among younger listeners. His live performances have divided fans sharply, with critics noting that his signature ragged style has grown genuinely difficult to defend. In recent years, his concerts have featured expanded lineups of musicians surrounding him, and longtime followers have noticed the spontaneity that once made him thrilling is now largely absent. The Crusader has overshadowed the guitarist.
Searching for a heart of gold.
Number 7. Jimmy Page. Rolling Stone magazine described Page as the pontiff of power riffing and ranked him number 3 on their list of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. He founded Led Zeppelin, which remained active from 1968 to 1980, producing a run of albums that redefined what rock guitar could sound like. Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin 4, and Houses of the Holy still rank among the greatest rock records ever made. Then Led Zeppelin ended, and Jimmy Page essentially vanished. Following the death of Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham in 1980, Page played with XYZ, The Firm, The Honeydrippers, and later with Robert Plant. But none of those projects came close to his prior greatness. He performed in a 2007 Led Zeppelin reunion that was later released as the concert film Celebration Day, an event that reminded everyone what was lost. Since then, Page has released no new solo studio albums, repeatedly hinting at forthcoming material that never arrived. For over 40 years, one of rock's greatest guitarists has been mostly silent. Number 6. Angus Young. 17 studio albums with AC/DC, decades of sold-out stadium tours, a schoolboy uniform that became one of rock's most recognizable images. From the opening riff of Highway to Hell in 1979 to the thunderous Back in Black in 1980, Angus Young built a legacy that few guitarists will ever match. Back in Black has sold an estimated 50 million copies worldwide, making it the second best-selling album in music history. But even the greatest riff has a shelf life. Young turned 70 in March 2025, and while he continues to tour with AC/DC, even longtime supporters have acknowledged that his playing has become a faithful photocopy of itself. The same pentatonic blues licks, the same duck walk, the same 3-minute solos. In a 1970s arena, it was electric. Across 5 decades and counting, it risks becoming a tribute act to his former self. Dedication to a sound is admirable. Refusing to evolve at all is something else entirely. Before we continue, which of these guitar legends meant the most to you growing up? Did you see any of them live in their prime? Drop a comment below and let us know where in the world you are watching from. Number 5. Ritchie Blackmore. Deep Purple and Rainbow combined have sold well over 100 million records worldwide. A riff vocabulary so distinctive that guitarists across multiple generations have openly cited him as a foundational influence. Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, and Burn are 3 of the most recognizable hard rock songs ever recorded, and Blackmore wrote the guitar parts for all of them. Then, in the mid-1990s, he simply walked away. Blackmore abandoned rock music entirely to pursue Renaissance folk with his partner Candice Night, forming a group called Blackmore's Night and performing exclusively in medieval costume. Deep Purple was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in April 2016, which briefly drew Blackmore back into conversation with his former bandmates. But the reunion never fully materialized. Blackmore has now spent more time playing lutes at Renaissance fairs than he has recording with the band that made him famous. For fans who worshipped his electric ferocity, it remains one of the great musical disappearing acts of the modern era. Number 4. Carlos Santana. His remarkable ascent to fame began with his band's standout performance at Woodstock in 1969, a set so electrifying it made him a global star overnight. Santana has won 10 Grammy Awards over his career, including 8 in a single night for the album Supernatural in 2000, along with 3 Latin Grammy Awards. His 1999 comeback album Supernatural became one of the best-selling albums of all time, producing the worldwide smash Smooth and returning him to the top of the charts after a long commercial absence. But the years since have raised serious questions about whether the road is simply too demanding. Santana was performing at Pine Knob Music Theater in Clarkston, Michigan in July 2022 when he passed out from dehydration and heat exhaustion, with medical personnel going on stage to help him. Noteworthy incidents also include a heart procedure in 2021, and in 2025 he had to postpone his Las Vegas residency after suffering a fall that resulted in a broken finger requiring surgical pins. Despite these setbacks, Santana remains committed to returning to his tour schedule. The passion is undeniable. The concern is real. Number 3. Pete Townshend. The Who's studio albums make up one of the greatest discographies in popular music. Tommy Who's Next and Quadrophenia are 3 of the most ambitious rock records ever conceived, and Pete Townshend wrote every one of them. His windmill arm, his explosive chord work, and his revolutionary use of feedback and power chords essentially invented a template that 3 generations of guitarists copied without ever quite matching. The tragedy is that Townshend himself heard the warning signs decades ago. Years of exposure to devastating stage volume left him with severe tinnitus and significant hearing loss, a condition he has spoken about publicly for years.
The sea refuse is no river. We try not to age, but time had us right.
In recent years, The Who's concerts have featured Townshend and Roger Daltrey surrounded by 5 other musicians and sometimes a full orchestra, a far cry from when the band made more noise. With just John Entwistle and Keith Moon, the man who once smashed guitars to make a statement now needs an orchestra to fill the space that 4 people once owned completely. Number 2. Dave Davies. Following in the footsteps of Peter Green and Eric Clapton, before the name even carried that weight, Dave Davies did something no guitarist had done before him. In 1964, he slashed the cone of a small amplifier with a razor blade, plugged a second amplifier into it, and recorded You Really Got Me with the Kinks, producing one of the first and most influential distorted electric guitar riffs ever recorded. Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen both pointed to that moment as a turning point. In 2004, Davies suffered a serious stroke that left him partially paralyzed on his right side. His attempts at a comeback in the years that followed drew sympathetic but honest assessments from critics, who noted that the dexterity and fluidity of his 1960s and 1970s playing were significantly diminished. The Kinks, the band he co-founded with his brother Ray in 1964, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990. What Davies gave to guitar music is immeasurable. What the stroke took away was equally profound. Number 1. Mick Taylor. Most critics and many fans consider Mick Taylor to be the best lead guitarist the Rolling Stones ever had. In June 1969, the Rolling Stones dismissed Brian Jones, and Mick Taylor took his place in the group. Taylor's onstage debut as a Rolling Stone at the age of 20 was the free concert in Hyde Park, London on July 5, 1969, with an estimated 250,000 people attending for a show that turned into a tribute to Brian Jones, who had died 2 days before the concert. He went on to play on 5 Rolling Stones studio albums, including Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, and Goat's Head Soup. Drummer Charlie Watts himself admitted that the Mick Taylor period was a creative peak for the Stones, a tremendous jump in musical credibility. Since leaving the Rolling Stones in December 1974, Taylor has worked with numerous other artists and released several solo albums, but none captured more than a fraction of his former brilliance. Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash states that Taylor has had the biggest influence on him, yet Taylor himself has spent 5 decades playing to small venues while the Stones carried on without him. He is the greatest guitar talent to fade quietly from view, a musician whose peak was so extraordinary, everything after felt like an echo.